Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Roundup, the #1 romance book recs talk show.
I love Romance Roundup.
I am Liz Donatello.
And I'm Libby Kay, author of the sweet romance series Buckeye Falls.
Libby and I are excited to get the scoop on summer romance releases from Hachette Book Group imprint Forever. We are joined by Associate Marketing and Publicity Manager Dana Quadrato and Publicity and Marketing Associate Caroline Green. Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance Channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on Podbean and all podcast apps. Viewers and listeners can email us at readerseeksromance@yahoo.com. Welcome, Dana and Caroline.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Dana, can you share with the audience what types of romance novels does Forever publish?
Yeah, so Forever publishes a range of romances from contemporary, rom-com, emotional, kind of leaning women's fiction romance, to now dark romance, fantasy romance, historical romance. We've really got it all. Anything the heart desires, we're publishing.
Right.
Ooh, I like it.
What do you specifically prefer within the romance subgenres? I believe you're more historical romance, right, Dana?
I do tend to work on all of the historical romance here at Forever. I am a huge historical romance reader personally. I also read a lot of contemporary and rom-com too, and work on those books as well.
Okay. Now, Caroline, which romance subgenre do you prefer to read?
I really do read like every subgenre. Dana did turn me into a historical romance girly, so that is probably what I would identify as my primary one, but I work on a lot of contemporary and a lot of fantasy, romantasy, as the current trend is calling it.
Yes.
So I dabble in a lot of different subgenres, but at heart, I do love my historicals.
Oh, I love it.
Nice. Let the roundup begin.
Giddy up. I'm ready.
Dana, if you'd like to kick us off.
I'm so excited to lead us in talking about summer romances because this one has the perfect title. So One Last Summer by Kate Spencer comes out on June 11th. This one's hitting shelves in hardcover, which is very fancy.
Ooh.
And Kate Spencer is the author of In a New York Minute, which came out a few years ago. I absolutely loved that one. And now she's back with another romance. This one really hit me in all of the feels. I felt very seen by it. So it follows Clara, who is really stressed at work. She's burnt out. She's just dealing with all the things. And she's actually forced to go on a vacation by her boss because she's like, girl, you need some time alone. So Clara ends up using this moment to go to camp. Her childhood camp friends have been getting together for a retreat every single year, but Clara has always found reasons to not go, whether it's work or, she's too busy, but she finally does go back to camp, and it's a summer filled with a few weeks filled with nostalgia, friendship bracelets, kind of connecting with what her childhood self really thought she was going to be doing with her life at this point, whether it was finding love or, her dreams and ambitions for her career. And she just connects with her friends and realizes that maybe she wasn't a great friend to some of them. And she's also connecting with her childhood nemesis / crush, Mac, who is also for the retreat there. And Mac was the class clown of the summer camp, but he is really wanting to really be taken seriously and also be taken seriously by Clara. And then kind of the rough patch is that the camp is being sold, so they're all coming to terms with that as well. Okay. So a really kind of fun feels summer read that is going to be perfect for the beach, the pool, all the places. And that was One Last Summer by Kate Spencer, out on June 11th.
It sounds so charming. And I like the idea of going back to a place, not just seeing the people, from your childhood or from your youth. That sounds really engaging and charming.
Yeah. And I'm really attracted to the whole class clown growing up and now wanting to be taken seriously. I think, well, first of all, there's a lot of room for humor with that.
Yeah.
But I also, I like, I don't know, the idea of, oh, the class clown is now this hunky dude. I'm assuming it's a hunky dude, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, because the humor's already established, and now the person just, like, I love that awakenings. Like, oh, I never thought of that person in that way, and now I do. So I don't know if that's like a trope, like awakenings, sexual awakenings. I don't know.
Oh, there's a lot of sexy things happening at camp.
So sexy
Is there
camp.
is there a one bed, one sleeping bag situation going on here?
I mean, I really do think that if I recall, they bang in a shed.
Ooh, banging in a shed. Like,
No,
like
that's a trope we need more of. Banging.
Like, they're hiding from the rest of the friends and, banging. It's summer camp.
As you do.
What kind of sheds are in summer camp, though? Because I never went, so I don't know.
I never went to summer camp either.
There are sheds, and I went to
shed.
summer camp. There are sheds, and I will never look at one the same again.
What do they put in a shed? What do they put in sheds?
Like where the where the archery stuff is, and like the field equipment.
Also, it's a little dangerous, a little uncomfortable, a little like up against the canoe. Is like there a canoe in a shed? I like up against a canoe as a new trope.
I was going to say, or that could be a book title. up against
a canoe. Against a canoe.
We'll put the request in.
Yes, please.
I like that. Okay, Caroline, you're up.
So excited. I always love following Dana. So speaking of fun summer titles, I'm going to go ahead and start with Hot Earl Summer by Erica Ridley. There's something about those summer titles. It gets me every time. And this one is out on August 6th. And this is the fifth book in the Wild Winchesters series, which for those who are not familiar, this is a series by Erica Ridley following this family of very diverse and multi-talented adopted orphans that have created this family that they go out and do heists and are just like vigilantes for justice in Victorian London, helping the downtrodden. And so each of the books follows a different sibling as they, carry out some heist or mission, usually with other family members, and also fall in love along the way. So this one follows Elizabeth, who loves sword fighting. She is disabled. She has chronic pain, but in all of her canes, there is also a sword because she is always ready to do battle. And in fact, maybe is too ready to do battle. Her siblings are constantly having to be like, we cannot murder people right now. We have to hold back. Like maybe not so much the sword. And she's like, but I want to run somebody through. And so she's been sent on a mission alone. All of the other siblings are too busy to help. But there is this woman who has come to them. She is supposed to inherit a castle from her deceased sister so that she can start an orphanage there. But her nephew has inherited. There's some legal gray area. The will is missing, and they're going to have to solve a series of riddles to find the will. As you do.
No
way. When you leave a
way.
will, you hide it with a series of riddles.
That's what I want to do.
So she shows up at this castle to make this dastardly Earl hand over the will to this castle. And what she doesn't realize until she gets there is that actually it's the Earl's reclusive inventor cousin who is there pretending to be the Earl because the Earl has vanished. He was like, hey, can you cover me? And now he's gone. And they don't know where he is. And his poor reclusive cousin is just trapped in this castle with people trying to kill him and Elizabeth at his door with battle axes trying to solve these riddles. So there's a lot going on. And Erica's books are always so fun. There's always some central heist. There are usually some hilarious animals, homing hedgehogs and trained falcons and things. And the siblings are just such a delight. So I have really loved this entire series. So this was Hot Earl Summer by Erica Ridley, out August 6th. And you can go read the previous books in this series if you can't wait that long to get to it.
Well, and I didn't realize this was going to be the fifth book. I'm very behind. I think I only read 2.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you are familiar with the series then, Libby?
Yes, it's been a minute because I can't remember when the first one came out. But as soon as you said that, I'm like, wait, 5th?
Started in 2020 or 2019.
Yeah, I have early pandemic memories of reading it. So
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds ridiculously adventurous. It sounds
so
like
fun.
it's wow.
I think there's more and more adventure happening in romances lately. Are you seeing that as a trend, whether it's historical or not, that there's more adventure elements coming out in romances lately?
Good question.
I mean, I think so. I don't know. Dana, what do you think?
I definitely have seen more adventure heist I think more romances with interesting plots and hooks that isn't necessarily just the couple. And I think it's really fun, and it makes for, I think readers are really connecting with that.
Yes. And I'm not saying I don't like this any other time of year, but summer just seems like the perfect time for like extra shenanigans and intrigue with your books. You know what I mean? Like it's hot. I don't know. I just want something exciting.
You are both starting strong. So I look forward to hearing what Dana has next.
How do I follow up like a lady swordsman? I think I know exactly what book to follow it up with, because who doesn't love dogs? So Pardon My Frenchie by Farah Rojan comes out on June 4th. Farah Rojan is the author of the Boyfriend Project series. And if you know Farah, you know that she's from New Orleans and she truly loves that city. And so she's bringing that city to life in this most recent book, which is set in New Orleans, following a dog lover who owns a doggy daycare, but also wants to start a doggy biscuit company, as one does.
Of course, it goes hand in hand.
Truly, why not? All the doggy things. But this is an enemies hate to love situation, because her hero is not a doggy lover. He doesn't like dogs. How dare he? So her love interest is unfortunately not a fan of dogs, but he's inherited a dog from his grandmother, who I think maybe conspired to set these two up. So now they keep getting tangled up into each other's webs because their dogs are buddies and falling in love, but also social media stars, as dogs happen to be.
The dogs have their own love arc. That's so cute.
So, people who love dogs are gonna love this book, but also there's a whirlwind weekend in New York that if there's plenty of really great New York iconic places involved in their weekend getaway. So really fun book. And that was Pardon My Frenchie by Farah Rojan, out on June 4th.
Okay, Caroline, what do you have for us?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm so sorry if you can hear my roommate also on a work call, apparently. The walls are thin in New York.
Yes, I'm
no,
sure.
I don't hear anything.
I don't,
okay, great.
I don't hear anything.
Perfect.
Where do you live? Is it Brooklyn?
Brooklyn. Yeah. Brooklyn girly for a whole 3 months or however long I've been here. So really self-identify.
Where are you from? Or I'll cut this out. Where are you from?
No,
originally?
actually, it's a great segue. I'm from San Antonio. And the next book I'm about to recommend is set in San Antonio.
Awesome.
So it's all coming together. And that is The Next Best Fling by Gabriela Gomez, which comes out July 9th. Gabriela is a debut Mexican-American author that we are very, very excited about. And we care a lot about really helping our debuts. And so I always like to mention that because it's very exciting. Like I said, set in San Antonio, our heroine is Marcella. She is a librarian, loves YA books. So if you like your adult romance, but also YA, there's a lot of like really great little Easter eggs and mentions of some really fabulous books. And this one is for if you love a little mess, if you love a little drama. We call it like a love square or a love trapezoid, because let me try to explain this in the most cohesive way possible. So Marcella is in love with her best friend, Ben. They have been friends since college. They dated very briefly, but it didn't work out. And he started dating kind of a mutual friend, whose name I believe is Alice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. There's a lot of names. So Marcella's in love with Ben. Ben has been dating Alice, and they just got engaged. And so at the engagement party, Ben's brother, Theo, shows up. Theo is an ex-NFL player. He is very hot, and he is also in love with the bride. So he shows up and gets very drunk and is planning on ruining their engagement. And Marcella intervenes and is like, no, we cannot have this. Absolutely not. And like kind of gets him out of the party. And people notice that they left together. And so everybody kind of assumes that now Marcella and Theo are hooking up. And they just let them think that. They're like, that's a great cover. So they're kind of like fake hooking up and then real hooking up. But also there's all of these feelings with Marcella being in love with Ben and Theo being in love with Alice, but now Marcella and Theo are starting to have feelings for each other. And it's just so fabulous, so messy, so many feelings, very bookish, very Texan. There are a lot of scenes where like she and her best friend are in the Whataburger drive-thru. So if anybody's from Texas, this is a relatable experience, gossiping in the Whataburger drive-thru. And there's like a really phenomenal bookish grand gesture that is just going to live in my head forever and now has raised my standards to unattainable heights because Theo is that guy. So that is The Next Best Fling by Gabriela Gomez, coming July 9th.
You had me at librarian heroine and then
Yeah.
the love trapezoid. I love that. I just love that idea. I mean, not in real life. That would give me so much anxiety.
You like that idea? That did sound like you meant it in real life.
I do not mean it in real life. My life is complicated enough.
I'm starting to hear about love triangles coming back into romance, but they're not triangles. They are different shapes. And I don't know if that's supposed to make people less concerned, because when you hear love triangle, most people are like, oh, I'm not going to touch it. So now I feel like publishers are making them different shapes to get people to read it.
Little love geometry.
Yeah. No, I'm all for
math,
this because love triangles, there's always someone that ends up alone. And I hate that, even if they deserve it in the end. So I like the fact that, I'm making assumptions here, that both of these couples are going to get together.
Ben to end up alone.
Yeah. Oh,
Ben might
now I'm
be
even more intrigued.
not what he appears when seen through Marcella's eyes.
Oh, intrigue. Okay.
Both of you have mentioned titles that I feel are very layered. There's a lot of layers to each story, which I find fascinating.
Forever, we're like an onion.
Maybe that should be your new logo.
New tag.
An onion. Dana, you're back on.
Right, over to me. I have another messy romance and hilarious. It is Finding Mr. Right by Kelly Armstrong. This one comes out on June 25th. You probably recognize the name Kelly Armstrong. She's a best-selling author known for her paranormal books, her mystery. She's written YA, fantasy. She's done it all except for contemporary rom-coms. So this is her first one, and I'm super excited. So Finding Mr. Right follows Daphne, who's just about ready to give up on her dreams of being a published author. She's an architect. She has a great life. She has a beautiful house. She's comfortable, but she's always had this dream of being a published YA author. So she's written this zombie post-apocalyptic book following this young female protagonist who is like out surviving in the Yukon where Daphne lives, and it's just not selling. She's not getting an agent, no bites, nothing. So she gets this like wacky, crazy idea, like, what if I change the name on my submission from my name to a man's name? What would that do? And so she rewrites her email. She adds the male name Zane Remington, and voila, she gets an agent immediately.
Oh, wow. This setup reminds me of a lot of 80s movies, 80s rom-com movies where one gender like pretends to be another gender to get advancement in some way, whether it was a job or getting into school or something like that. So I find this like kind of a little bit of a throwback idea, is like pretending. Yeah. So I'm digging it. Okay, go ahead. Carry on, Dana.
So Zane Remington is now the author of a book that is going to be published instead of YA as an adult book. And she gets a huge advance. Amazing, so great. Except then she realizes that she needs an author photo, and they'll probably want to interview her or talk to Zane at some point. So she hires a man to pretend to be Zane Remington. And the man she ends up hiring, his name is Chris. He is not an actor, has never acted really ever. He's an accountant, but he needs the job and he needs some cash. So he pretends that he's an actor, and he's gonna pretend to be Zane Remington. So they just get further down this rabbit hole of the lie that they've both created, as and of course they fall in love through the forced proximity of it all and go on book tour together, and also have to deal with the bear in the wilds of the Yukon, and deal with pretending that she is not the author. There's a lot of shenanigans that happen together, and it's hilarious, really heartfelt. Chris is like a big softie who's like pretending that he's like a macho man. It's hilarious. I think it also really does that like interesting like gender commentary of the publishing industry, and also like how people are perceived in the world. There's like some interesting things that happen at the LA Times Book Festival. It's really fun. And I think if you're very entrenched in the publishing world, you'll be like, oh my God, those types of things. But also if you're not, I think it's just like a hilarious, funny rom-com. That was Finding Mr. Right by Kelly Armstrong, out June 25th.
Oh my God.
It sounds delightfully messy. I am very excited.
You know what that reminds me of? The television show Remington Steele. Does anybody remember? Okay.
Yes.
That just shows our age, I think, because Pierce Brosnan pretends to be the private investigator, but it's really a woman who's running the show. But she used a man's name to get business, and then she knew she had to hire a man to be the face of the company, and she hires him, and then he learns how to, investigate crimes and stuff. But anyway, so I betcha Kelly Armstrong is about age group.
I was thinking she's probably over 40 and is probably like Remington Steele.
Yes, this is exactly. Oh my God, I love this.
Kelly had shared what was her inspiration. It was she loves the writing aspect of her job, but hates the going out into the world and doing all of the other parts of authoring, the interviews and those types of things. She's like, but what if I could hire someone to pretend to be me and do all of that for me? That was where the idea came from. And then she told that to a friend, and her friend was like, that should be a book. And she wrote it.
I'm glad she did.
If you want to be able to market this to Gen X, let me know, because I'll say, hey, everybody, it's Remington Steele in a book. As we've mentioned before, this is exciting and terrifying because I don't know where I'm going to find the time to read everything I want to read. So it's great that you're giving us fantastic recommendations, but at the same time, I'm mad at you both.
Yeah.
So Caroline, make me madder. What do you have?
I would love to. I would love to make you madder. This is another name that you may or may not recognize, depending on your outside interests. And that is Mistakes We Never Made by Hannah Brown of Bachelorette fame. I personally, I don't watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, but I am familiar with Hannah Brown from her various viral moments from the show. So you may know her, you may not, but Mistakes We Never Made actually comes out May 7th. And it's another kind of messy rom-com setup because we love a little bit of mess. We love a little bit of drama. This one, it's kind of a second chance. So Emma and Finn are our two main characters. Emma and Finn have kind of a history, but it's an almost history where they've almost gotten together, almost hooked up. There's just a lot of almosts in their past. And at this point, they just can't stand each other. Just really do not get along, but unfortunately one of their mutual friends is getting married, so they have to just kind of pretend that they can in fact be in a room together, and they're doing great until the bride goes missing. That throws a wrench into their plans of just having to be cool, because now 2 days before the wedding they're on a road trip together to try to track down the bride.
I'm assuming she's missing on her own accord and this isn't a nefarious subplot. It doesn't sound like it's going to be some dark romance, but I was just
Libby, I was on the same wavelength because right away I was like, oh, this is starting out like a Netflix documentary, where it's because I've been watching nothing but horrible documentaries, good documentaries about horrible stuff. So I was like, oh man, she's dead. She's dead.
It's a beach read.
Okay. And she wasn't kidnapped. She didn't join a cult. I would really like to see someone write, and it would take a very special comedic writer. I want to see a rom-com about a couple who are in a cult and they escape and they develop a romance. Or they develop a romance as they're planning their escape from this cult. I think it could be funny. Triggering for some, yeah, but I think it could be funny, and I think
a dark romance.
No, see, that's going to be the skill of it. It's going to be a light romance. It's not a serious cult. It's just a light cult. It's cult. A cult that's kind of not
Kimmy
as
Schmidt.
Dangerous.
Yeah, there you go, Kimmy Schmidt.
Right? I think I love that show, so maybe that's where I'm getting that from. So kind of a Kimmy Schmidt romance. So now we know that this person is probably okay, Libby.
Yes.
Okay. The bride is found eventually, hopefully. Not found and gagged.
Yes. So the bride has gone missing, and they are on a road trip to track her down and like rescue this happily ever after. And so it becomes a very fun road trip romance in a vintage sports car. There's a little Vegas moment, and sparks start flying, you know? Maybe they don't hate each other as much as they thought. Maybe all of those almosts were leading to an eventually. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, that's a good tagline.
So, and again, I'm not a bachelorette person, but if you are, there are some Easter eggs in there for Hannah Brown fans.
Oh,
So,
that's fun.
That's fun.
yes,
Oh,
very
I like
fun.
it.
Yeah, so that's Mistakes We Never Made by Hannah Brown, coming May 7th.
Dana, back to you.
Back to me with more messy drama romance. So this, I'm going to throw the gauntlet and say that this might be one of my favorite books of the year.
Ooh.
This is high praise, and Caroline immediately knows what I'm talking about. So this is Not Another Love Song by Julie SoDo, which hit shelves on July 16th.
Yes.
She's the author of Forget Me Not, which was also one of my favorite books last year. So
good.
I have to pause and say, Libby, do you want to talk about Julie SoDo?
I think on an episode I talked about reading this a couple weeks ago. I loved that book, and I'm so excited. I already have it pre-ordered. Like, let's go.
This is like the one book every single person on our team dropped immediately everything to read it.
Yes.
And we're all obsessed. And that's the hard part about talking about it now, because I'm like, I love this book so much. How do I say anything about it?
Yes. You know what, Dana? We just mentioned that in the episode that dropped today, is how the more you love a book and it connects to you on such a visceral level, it is so difficult to explain in words how much you love this book. So it's like, now we just have to say, okay, it was a visceral read, and everyone will just have to understand that that means I don't know how to talk about it. But so if you want to just say it's a visceral read, everyone now knows what that means, right? Because everyone's watching the episode that dropped today.
Yeah.
Well, I relate to the visceral read. I think I started it like 1:00 one Saturday afternoon, and then I finished it at 7:00. And then I was like, oh, there goes my whole day. I've just finished and read this book. But this book follows Gwen, who is a self-taught, but also had a teacher, but she never went to school to be a violinist. And she is a part of a pop orchestra in New York City, and she gets like a freelance job to be a violinist at a wedding. But she arrives there and finds out she was not actually intended to be a violinist there. They wanted a cellist. But there she ends up seeing a cellist from the pop orchestra that is a rock star cellist, because those exist. And she has the hots for him. And he's also just kind of known as like a notorious bad boy in the pop orchestra, as they are. And he has to loan her his cello that she has never really played, but she is kind of like a prodigy and picks it up. But she thinks that he thought she was terrible at this. So there's a lot of like dynamic miscommunication there. And when she arrives back at work, they keep running into each other, and she's like, why does this man hate me so much? We're romance readers. We pick up what I put down.
Yes, I know what that means.
And then she gets promoted to first chair in the orchestra. And that is the position and role that he has wanted his entire life. And this man is down so bad, so horny for her. So that is Where I Will Leave You and Forced Proximity, Rivals to Lovers, the highest esteem of a forever book, I think, this year. This man is just on his knees all the time. And that very hot, delicious book is Not Another Love Song by Julie SoDo, out July 16th. Love it. It's so good. I can't stop. It's great.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Oh my God. Yes, I need to read this. You said July?
July.
Oh God. Oh my God. Her first book. It was the same thing. I read it in one sitting. I was angry when it was done. My husband was angry because I ignored him all day. Like
she can write an angsty
oh
book.
God, the angst. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh my, I have no words. I'm already reacting and I haven't read the book yet.
So, I mean, okay, so I'm just hung up on that he's on his knees a lot, because that's okay. So I'm just wondering, is there like perhaps a sex scene involving like someone's playing while getting pleasured? Like, I don't know.
The book is she's sitting there with the cello between her legs and he's behind her. That scene happens. in the book,
Nope.
and it's the sexy scene.
Oh, yep, I'm ready. Oh my God.
Also, whenever she is sat, he's like, okay, I've got a task to do.
Ow, I just got chills. Dana.
You're welcome.
My eyes just bugged out of my head. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
The Lord's
like,
work here.
And I'm not musically inclined, but
You will be after reading this, though. You'll need like a violin cello duet playlist just to like really sit there and absorb.
Really? Wow.
The orchestra was this engaging when I was in high school. I'd probably still play the viola.
Caroline, what are we going to end on?
Ooh, the pressure is on. We are going to end on one that we are very excited about. It was co-written by wives. And that is Second Nightstand by Corelia and Faye Stetzwaters, which comes out May 21st. So forever readers probably recognize Corelia Stetzwaters has written a couple of books with us, both sapphic, very steamy romances, behind the scenes and Satisfaction Guaranteed. But this is her wife Faye's debut, and they wrote it together. And this is a romance between a prima ballerina and a burlesque dancer. Both of them have their own dance troupes, and they're in trouble for various reasons. Blue Lennox is the burlesque dancer who leads like her burlesque troupe, and she has acquired this dilapidated theater that is turning into a money pit. So she like desperately needs money to renovate this theater and have this safe space for her troupe and their performances. And Lillian is she's I believe the first Black prima ballerina for whichever troupe she was dancing for, and so she now has her own dance troupe, and it's very diverse and very important to her, and they need to secure funding and sponsorship. And so both of them separately, without knowing each other, have auditioned to be on this reality competition talent show. Think like America's Got Talent or So You Think You Can Dance, that sort of show. And while they're there for auditions, which neither of them realizes that that is what the other one is there for, they have a one-night stand. It's very hot right off the bat. But of course, neither, they've got their commitment issues. They're very clear. This is a one-night thing, and it's great. And then, of course, later, they both find themselves on the show and are like, oh, that's the person I hooked up with. And it was really good. And let's be honest, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. And so now they are on this reality competition dance show, having to compete against each other, but also there's some drama. There's some like trapped in the middle of a storm in a like cabin situation.
I love that.
And it is very, very good. They both have like kind of parental issues to work through. So there's kind of some more serious layers as well, like working through that past trauma and everything, but really fabulous. And I mean, co-written by wives, that's just,
already.
Do you even need to know anymore?
No.
So Second Nightstand by Corelia and Faye Stetzwaters, out May 21st.
Oh my gosh, that sounds,
yes.
I love the dancing element. And you had me at cabin as well. Like, I just love a random cabin popping up for hot sex.
Yeah, they should have random cabins. I think more cabins should be built around this country just so people get forced into them. Although that sounds weird, but they could get trapped in them, which doesn't sound better. Trapped in them. Yeah. I am a fan of Corelia's, so I'm excited to see what she and her wife have come up with together, which it sounds like there's a lot of steam and some drama. I'm noticing too more couples writing romance novels together. It seems to be a thing that I think pretty much every publisher now is putting out. I find that interesting. So Libby, I think you and your husband need to write a romance together.
We talked about doing that.
Yes,
you did. A cyclist, and we talked about writing a cyclist romance. But I don't know if Americans would give a hoot about a cyclist romance, but we will see.
I mean, there are all kinds of very niche sport romances popping up. Pickleball, tennis.
Yes.
Pickleball. There's a pickleball
Formula One. Just gonna drop that little.
Oh, is that something that might be coming down the road from you guys?
After summer.
Now I feel like you need to give us a teaser for fall.
If you're into Formula One, or even if you're not, and you're just into like really hot, arrogant foreign men who drive cars at 200 miles per hour, if that sounds like something you would be into, and like a STEMinist heroine who, she's a little prickly, but her heart's in the right place and also is like a genius engineer, and they have to work really closely together. You might want to keep an eye out for Double Apex by Josie Juniper, which is coming in the fall, and it's also very steamy.
Ooh.
Oh.
I'm intrigued for a lot of reasons.
I'm wondering if there is on top of the car sex.
Formula One cars are not built for that. If you've ever seen one, it wouldn't work. But there is in a, not a Formula One car, but in a car sex.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take it. I'll take the car sex.
Also in a yacht sex.
Yacht. I don't think I've ever read. Wait, I have read yachts, but up against like the flag, not the flagpole, up against the sail. Yeah, up against the mast.
There you go.
Sex, that's kind of voyeuristic too.
I like how we started with banging in a shed and we're wrapping up with yacht sex. It's really gotten high class.
Yeah, we have gotten classy. I mean, what's classier than yacht sex? I don't think there is anything classier.
That's the classiest place to bang, obviously. We all know this, which is why it's happening in a Formula One romance, because they're all like rich, gazillionaire Europeans who live in like Monaco.
I was just going to say, like Monte Carlo, there should be a casino scene. Is there a casino scene?
There's not. There's not.
Well,
maybe in the next book.
In the next book, definitely. So now I want to talk to people about, where do you think is the classiest place to bang in a romance novel? And that's our roundup. Thank you, Dana and Caroline, for taking time to share Forever's summer romance releases and giving us a teaser for a fall release. It has been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having us. This was so much fun.
Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on Podbean and all podcast apps. Thanks for joining us, romance readers.
Happy reading, everyone.